Okay,
Wimbledon.
we'll call the November 14th school board meeting to order. Recognize our visitors. Thanks for coming. And turn to our Mr. Severson for some thank yous.
Congratulations to the girls volleyball team, the coaches who qualified for the Region 3 volleyball tournament, lost out to Napoleon in the first round. Thank you to the football coach Scott Rorick from Valley City, who's coming up to BCN to meet with our prospective players. And we're hoping he got everything off to a positive note. He's been here twice, so it's been very positive so far. Congratulations to our quarter one Herd Award winners, Shannon Brand, Eric Schaefer, Devin Scholdice, Charlotte Mueller, Braden Bundy, and Mel Corlin, or Marat. And then also received an email today, congratulations to Mike Schwer. Mike Schwer and Lorinda Velour earned school board awards. At the recent North Dakota School Board Association Annual Convention, Barnes County North School Board member Mike Schwer received NDSBA's Master Board Member Award. NDSBA recognized board members for participation in leadership activities at the state and national level, in addition to exemplary work on their local board. The award program, based on a point system, is designed to encourage school board members to take advantage of a wide range of training opportunities, incorporate what they have learned in their local school board service. North Dakota School Board Association, leading advocate for public education, serving the public school districts across the state of North Dakota, and the SBA provides support to local school board members through professional development resources, legislative advocacy. So congratulations, Mike Schwer, on your award.
Congratulations, Mike.
Means you're an old timer.
Yeah, been around a long time. They give you a little piece of paper and a plaque.
No gold watch.
Okay, agenda items. We got anything to add?
Just open enrollment under new business, I have one open enrollment.
Okay.
Got signed.
A new business open enrollment. So we would need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve amended agenda.
I'll second.
By Rob. All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's approved. So then is there any questions or comments on our consent agenda, which is the minutes, bills, and financial reports? You want to just mention you're going to put the numbers in for the revenue thing, right? So that,
As soon as I get those from the auditor.
yep. So we'll have a number in the budget part of the revenues. Anybody else have any questions?
I just have one question.
Yep.
Going through the budget, what, the school, the kitchen has nothing for budget. Is that by design, or is that? There's no kind of budget for the kitchen?
And to my knowledge, there never has been. It's just a matter of revenue and expenditures as a whole.
In the food service part. Yeah.
And the wages come out of the general fund.
Yeah. we-
Other than the wages.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other all works out of that food service budget or.
And if it's
sheet.
large equipment, it can come out of the building fund.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions? If not, we would need approval of the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
By Lori,
Second.
second by Lee. Oh, roll call. Lee. He's quicker. He's right closer.
Takes longer for the sound.
I can hear him quicker. Roll call.
Chad.
Yes.
Michelle.
Yes.
Cindy. Yes. Lori.
Yes.
Mike.
Yes,
Lee.
Yes.
Rob.
Yes.
Brett.
yes. Those are approved. President's report, I have nothing. Career and tech, basically all we did last month, we talked about that welding class they're putting in there. We had 10 that applied to come. We had 6 that started the program, the one that's hooked with the Development Corporation. We did amend our budget to reflect the extra Perkins dollars we got and the new employee. Our only dig on our 5-year evaluation was we need handicapped accessible doors. And we worked with the Valley City Public owns the building we rent, the vocational center. So Valley City Public will put it on their winter or summer schedule. So we'll get some handicapped doors up there.
Is that just the push button opens up automatically type thing?
Yeah. That's what we're gonna have to put there. We've had a couple people with the ag program really interested in trying to donate some funds. There's a lot of, so we're gonna do some more numbers on the greenhouse, because we've got a couple of donors that would like to put a significant amount of money to that, so we're working on that greenhouse thing up there for that. We're still trying to come up with a way to help BCN and Maple Valley on the feeder part of that. So we're still in the brainstorming session on that for the ag program there, so. We looked at what we're gonna go with next year. We've got a kind of a 3-4 year plan for the ag, so that we'll see that next meeting where we're gonna look for which classes we're gonna try to put in there, so. So that's about all I had for career and tech this last month.
Great.
Any questions there? Not, Mrs. Bitts, we got technology report.
Yes, few things to update you on. We had our first family engineering night shortly after our last board meeting, and we had a total of, we did Lego We-Do kits, and we had a total of 14 students, and then 9 families. There were 12 adults here. Michelle was here. It was tons of fun. I think it went really
Tons of
well.
fun.
And then I'm looking at, we have our next one, so if anybody cares to join us to see how it goes, we are doing Ozabots on Tuesday, the 20th. And right now, we currently have 15 students signed up, so a little bit more, and 10 adults. So we're right in that number, and I would presume that there will be a few extra people signing up at the last minute. So,
May I ask a question?
it's going well, yes.
If a family signs up their child and an adult, and then 2 different adults are gonna bring the child, is that all right?
As long
Or should I
as they,
Get the second adult signed up?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
yeah, yep,
What was,
And-
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
What was, the next event?
Tuesday,
But what was it gonna be?
it's on Ozobots.
So robots.
Yeah, these little, yes, they do coding with these little tiny robots. And they give it specific commands to complete a task.
Okay.
So some sort of challenge they will be given, and they will have to figure that out. If you're still on our parent listserv, check out the email I sent. It'll
Yeah,
have a
that
little
was
video
cute.
for you to see. I usually try to the parent listserv, I usually try to say what the topic is, because, and then give them either a site or a video or something to go to, because they typically don't know. Like, where, We Do Kids, well, what's that? So, go check it out. Yep.
Okay.
And this time, we are going to, we don't have our questions compiled yet, but we want to ask a few questions at the end, some sort of little survey, whether it be 2, 3 questions, just to get feedback on this event. So Mrs. Undem and Mrs. Haugen and myself will be working on that, and have the family members or adults that are with the children fill something out as they go out, so we know what we can do better, what they'd like to see, the benefits, etc. We are going to be changing our monitoring services tomorrow as far as our security and our fire monitoring services. The price, the company that we're currently using, the price has gone up significantly, by about $400 total. And so we are going to change monitoring services. So what that means is somebody else is just gonna be monitoring our building, so that if intrusion happens after hours, now that's a different company and a different procedure that calls Dave. That's the one that gets stuck. And that was my first question, like, do you foresee these costs going up? And over the years, they haven't had any cost increase, so I don't know what this current company that we're with, why they jumped significantly for what, I'm not sure. So we're gonna be making some changes in the building monitoring services.
Does it change any of our equipment, or just
Nope.
who it's going to?
Nope, it's just gonna change a little programming on our
Okay.
end,
Okay.
and who's going out, what number it's going out to. Then we have a technology meeting tech meeting next Monday, I believe, and that agenda has been sent out to the tech committee members, and just talking about Schoology. We just last week at parent-teacher conferences, the teachers gave out a sheet to a parent or parents that they chose to pilot, so that we can get a feel for this and what parents are seeing and how they're liking things. So we will be putting, as a tech committee, we'll be putting together something for those pilot parents to give us feedback. Because obviously we want feedback from them so we know what to expect when we open it up for everybody at the end of semester 1. So some teachers, like Mrs. Scott, Mrs. Amon, Mrs. Undum in our college English, they went all in and did the whole class. The expectation was you have to choose a pilot parent, but we do have some teachers that jumped in and gave it to everybody. So that is in progress, and we'll talk about that at our tech meeting on Monday on how to get that feedback. And then we'll also be talking about some things in the building. I think I talked about this last meeting, like the active boards, and maybe trying out some J-touches. Those are interactive panels, and doing some, having teachers apply for those if they want to test those out. We'll get a couple of them, because if you're using it just as a board to project on, we're not gonna replace it. So we'll have to come up with some ideas or some procedures we wanna follow to start replacing some of those boards. Because the people that do use them and interact with them, it's getting really tough, because as technology is getting newer on our computers, the USB compatibility is higher on the computers than it is with the boards, so they don't stay connected, and it's very frustrating for teachers.
So the J-touches are more, they're not projected anymore, they're, touch
Panels.
screens, they're more like a TV versus.
Yep. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you. Building and grounds report.
Just a couple things.
Okay.
Twin City Roofing was out and did the work on the gym. Got that complete. Wasn't even half a day they were done with it, so did a very quick job. And then we just put new washer and dryer unit in the kitchen and in the superintendent's house.
In the kitchen? Wow.
Well, they came from different schools. They weren't brand new.
Oh, I was gonna say, because my
Yeah,
gosh,
Mike-
that didn't
Mike
last
did the same
anywhere.
part, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And we
Okay.
went
And they're
with
in
a-
already, they're all
Yeah,
installed?
in. Yeah, we went with an upper, we didn't go with commercial because they're
Okay.
like $5,000
Yeah.
and you have to order them out of like Minneapolis or something, so we went with the upper end.
Yep.
And, yeah, he thought that, the guy said they were at least 9 years old. not
Oh,
10,
okay.
so.
Oh, I just assumed we
Yeah.
got them with the kitchen.
I did,
was like,
I did the same thing.
wow.
Said the same
Yeah,
thing.
Mike emailed me right away and said, could you get some different quotes and find out what's going on? 'Cause if it's been that quick, we're
Yeah.
running through them quickly. But yeah, they came from Rogers, or they came from
Okay.
Central or Wilmington, one or two, I'm not sure.
Okay.
And then I let Rob listen to the one in the dryer in the house, and he said he could fix it, but Bud said he could fix it, take it himself, because he didn't want it anymore. It was squealing pretty loudly.
Okay,
That's it.
okay. Mr. Wilson, K-12 principals report.
We had the veteran celebration today at school. Had a great turnout there. Thanks to the student council and Mr. Samuelson and Mrs. Bollingberg for working together to put that together. We just had parent-teacher conferences, had a large turnout. Again, I am impressed by the teacher turnout on there. Of the schools that I've been to, it's usually not as attended as it is out here, so it's a good thing to see parents taking that involvement. Sophomores took the ASVAB that day as well. We have an upcoming BCN blood drive on November 28th from 1 to 6. That'll be in the auxiliary gym. November 29th, our freshmen and sophomores are attending a career expo in Fargo. And that same day, Mr. Hans is taking his anatomy students to tour UND's medical school and dissection labs. And then December 9th through 11th, the Student Council Conference is taking place. Mr. Samuelson is working on seeing if he's going to have any students who will be able to attend that.
He's got 2 so far.
Yeah. And then we had our BERT meeting after school today, and we discussed the reunification process and everything that will entail. And We're looking at doing a full-scale evacuation drill incorporating the reunification process sometime this spring before the end of the school year. Now we're just going through and making sure we have all of the supplies that we're gonna need and assigning roles and duties from that standpoint for that. And that's all I got.
Okay,
Can I, so
Question?
your
Yep.
parent-teachers conference, what kind of percentage do you think you have of parents coming?
Here,
Yeah,
I would say it's probably, I don't know, 65, 70%.
no, good job, parents.
And it really is. I mean, when I was in Jamestown, all 4 years up at the high school, we had it 2 days. Up at the high school, between all 4 years, I had five parents that came. At the middle school, it was a student-led conference. And the only ones who really came were the parents of the students that were doing good. But then still, between the 4 years, each year there, I would have 3 or 4 parents that just would come. So last year when I got here, wasn't sure what to expect, and I was surprised and happily surprised, and then this year seeing it again, that it's just the parents come.
so the high school end is as good, not as good as the elementary, but.
No, not as good,
Never.
but you'll get some of those parents who should be coming to come.
Okay,
It's not just the case of the parents that you need to see and talk to don't show up. They avoid that. We have some that do come and want to find out that information.
good.
So it's really good, and it's great that the teachers are willing to stay that long, because it gets to be a long
day,
night
yep.
on that part.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions, Mr. Wilson? If not, Mr. Severson, Superintendent.
Just to follow up on the Burt meeting, we had a unified school response from Barnes County meeting on October 30th. And we had Valley City, Maple Valley, Litchfield came, and we just talked about what types of things we can do countywide as opposed to just with the schools. So if something were to happen here in Jamestown or wherever, the other schools would be involved with it too. So if we need to send counselors or need to send support people or however, we're trying to get that going. We're kind of trying to take a model out of the Cass Clay response team. They did a whole full scale. They've got a huge document, and we're trying to scale that to fit our Barnes County. Before I forget, Michelle, Chad, and Cindy, we got a separate curriculum committee meeting before we go tonight. You three are on that. Okay. Next Thursday, Friday is Thanksgiving vacation. And just so you're aware, the next board meeting is going to be Wednesday, December 12th. It'll be a week earlier because I'll be gone the next week. So when we get to the back end and it says December 12th, you'll know that that's not an action. I didn't make a mistake on that one. So, and that's about it.
And that's our early out day, too.
On December 12th.
Yep.
Yes, sir. It is.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Severson? Okay, we'll roll you right into AD report.
Okay, girls' basketball started Monday. Boys' basketball starts the 26th. And then we did have our fall activities banquet on Monday night as well. And at that point, our head volleyball coach, I knew before, but she turned her keys and she'll be moving to Arizona, so she will not be returning. So we'll be looking for a head volleyball coach next year.
Any questions for AD? Okay, thanks, Mr. Severson.
Yep.
Next, we have extracurricular report.
Yeah, and that's basically what we met to talk about, the football co-op types, but I've got the extracurricular fee schedules on, coming up in the
Done.
business.
Okay.
So just so into the football equipment, what we've got is we had in our minutes that we were going to bring a proposal back to each board before we split anything up. So we kind of talked about, uniforms. We're recommending between the three schools that GCC and Dakota purchase all of the uniforms, and we would go at, the original price was $7,500.60. We depreciate them, they're probably once every 4 years you have to buy them, so we depreciate it by 25%. They will pay us $1,900, $1,984.50 for our 25, or our 35% of the jerseys. Helmets will split based on that 35, 35, 30. There's 8 helmets of a different color, so we're gonna take those because those will be new ones that we can just send right in and have them reconditioned and painted in the Valley City colors. There's 6, we've got probably 15 or 16 more that we're gonna get, but I'm gonna have Joe from Jarrell's come and look at them and see if they're worth reconditioning and painting and sending them down to Valley City. When we get to the other equipment, we're just gonna break it up 35, 35, 30, with the shoulder pads, rib pads. Any practice equipment, I don't know what we're gonna do with that, there's a pile of it, so we talked about having them buy it, but there's so much of it, they'll just take what they need and tell us to have the rest. The 3 things that are items that they brought up as being purchased by the Titan Booster Club were our tackle tubes, our sleds, and our headset. And the tackle tubes they were purchased back in, looks like 16, and he's got down prices of $1,300. So we just have to figure out, if there's 4 of them, and then there's a 5-man sled, a 2-man sled, and a 1-man sled, that we'd have to decide if the Booster Club, their question is, if the Booster Club bought it, is it their equipment, they can do whatever they want with it.
And they have bought all that stuff.
Booster Club did.
Okay.
And that's what we kind of verified through, Cindy talked with George, and, but they
And
bought.
according to George, though, he feels that each school has a third ownership of
Of
it.
that.
So, according to him, we should get a third of whatever that equipment is.
Because the Booster
worth.
Club was all schools,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And according to George, this current booster club is getting dissolved. They need to start their new one. Sounds like most of the money has been drained out of that account, and they kind of did that on purpose, knowing that we were splitting up. But again, it doesn't go with the new co-op. It needs to be
It's
split.
part of the old one, yeah.
Yeah.
And any money that was left in the booster club, his wishes is to start an account with BCN so that our new football players, we can use that for whatever they may need. Just kind of like volleyball, basketball has their own, that's,
Activity account or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. Yeah. Okay.
So those would be the things that we'd have to, that we're gonna have to work out, but the other stuff we got all figured out, it's just that those, like I said, the tackle tubes, sleds, and the headset, which I'm sure we wouldn't need any of it. I know the sleds we don't, because Valley City has them, but they said we could probably use a tackle tube or 2 or whatever, but we'll get those figured out once we have it figured out how we're gonna break that up, once we get the booster clubs, once we get their input on this. So,
Okay.
if that's the case, we just take this, and if they wanted all that equipment, we just have to break it down and sign on the cost to have.
The cost on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that should be good with them, so, as long as I guess we don't really need a motion, we just need consensus that you're okay with us to proceed as is, and get whatever out of it, I mean, take our stuff and do whatever we want with it, I mean, do what
I
we.
think
we
keep
should.
going where you're at and bring back when you get it all finalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna have Joe take some of the helmets, but in the minutes, it said that we had to meet, as ADs and administrators had to meet to discuss a plan and take back to the boards for approval, so
Yeah. Okay.
we'll just continue as is.
Okay, okay.
Sounds good?
Roll ahead, don't make any waves.
Board reorganization, we had that discussion, I don't think there's really any more, unless you guys have anything on that you wanna talk about.
I guess
now
the
before
thing
we
would
go.
be is when do we want to make a decision? I guess that's, I mean,
January.
I was ready to go tonight.
I
January.
mean, I think
We
we're gonna have
actually
to
need
make,
to have a community meeting before you even go that far, right?
I think we got to have some type of
Yeah.
meeting, but like I say,
Well, no one's gonna wanna meet between now and the holidays.
No.
I
Well, and
think we
wasn't-
have a meeting in January, and.
Wasn't this the meeting? I mean, we
Well-
sent it
This
out
was
for
the
everybody,
fir-
this was a
just the
meeting.
information, but I think what,
But did it
propose what we
really-
want to do.
Did it go out to everybody? Did it go as a postcard in the mail to those people that aren't attached to the internet I mean, we're
Well, I mean,
talking
and
about, those
that's
are
a-
the people we're missing.
Yeah, our communications to
Yeah.
all the patrons, is that?
I think if
the
we're
best way
looking to
do
change
that?
anything, we still should have a little meeting, say, here's what we're proposing to do, you know, just so they understand where we're at and what we're gonna do. So I think we do have to have some type of public meeting,
So maybe we have a public meeting in January.
early
maybe
before our board meeting,
Before our board meeting,
because then it would give us the direction which way we wanna go.
if it's doable to do it
Yeah.
before the board meeting. If not, we have it in January sometime and do it in February.
Well, what would we propose? Should we make a motion? Should we do that?
What?
Why is it?
What did he say?
I mean, do
What?
we need to make a motion to set that meeting up and,
Well, we could do that in December if we wanted to say, this is what we're gonna go with the all at large or whatever.
okay, take another month of input and then.
Yeah, I don't think we wanna do anything tonight, get a little more input and then,
Well, that's what I guess that was, just to keep it moving, so.
Yeah. but we can double check with, if we do have to go to, if the thought is to go to some election, we do need to know what our timetable backing up would be
For a
Is-
special election.
for a special election.
Why does it have to be, oh, if we decide?
If
We change numbers.
That's all in century code, so
Right.
it's,
Yeah, just back her up so we know
It's-
that.
Cut it
And
into
so you,
chunks
and you
or-
can't have that on the same night as an election? Or like for board members, you can't combine a special election and a regular election? Is that illegal?
We'd have to have this
Well,
before the
You have to have this
regular
before
election.
though.
Okay.
We gotta know
That'd
if
be
we-
To know what we're gonna-
electing your
Okay.
members
Duh.
for 9
That is
from
pretty
the
much a
areas.
duh moment right there. Wow, wow.
No, we didn't.
It's coffee.
I think we have one more
Yeah.
publicized meeting on it,
Yep.
and then we move on from there.
But we actually have to work out how we're gonna get the notice to people that
Right.
there's a public meeting, to make sure
Maybe we
we,
should go back to the old fashioned way, just call people.
except people don't answer their home phone
You
and
can
they
leave a
have their,
message, though.
they have their cell phones
They
unlisted.
don't even have them.
Yeah, so, I mean, we actually have to use like
I
snail
think just a
mail.
little postcard in the
Yeah.
mail.
I think a postcard is what it would be.
Postcards are perfect.
Everybody
Except-
got one.
Okay.
What's that?
Everybody gets one.
Every house.
It'll be okay, we could,
You had nothing going on this next couple
Would
months,
like
yeah?
them handwritten,
Yeah.
personalized.
What are you doing on Christmas break?
Okay, you all sign it, right?
Yep.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
got a stamp.
I just act,
I'll get us
Sign
there.
it.
X.
That's the deal.
Everyone pick a letter.
make your mark.
Make your mark.
But I do think if we're gonna go make any changes, we gotta get it out there. Yeah.
So we need a patron list from the auditor's office.
Well, we almost should have it from
We
our
should have it all.
election stuff. For, when we had for the school election, we had
Deb-
almost everybody on that
Deb
list.
had a really good list.
They had a real good
But
list.
I'm sure it's not up to date, but it's better than nothing.
We'll probably have to go to the poll books.
Yeah.
You'd
I
be
think-
surprised what she's got in that computer.
We had a pretty good list when we did the mailing for the school stuff. We had a real good list.
There are people that are deceased on there now and moved out, but
Yeah,
it
we-
should
Well,
be
that's-
easy enough to
we-
clean up.
That's why this last election, we cleaned up the poll books.
Right.
Okay,
And that's a good
And
place to
that's-
start with it.
I mean,
okay.
that's the patrons, so
Yeah. Yep,
their names and addresses are in the poll books.
right.
Everybody's is in there? Oh, I just assumed people that came to vote were in the poll book.
No.
Oh,
Everybody
okay.
that's eligible to
Eligible.
vote is in the poll
Oh,
book.
well then, hey,
So I say, from our
Why
election
is this
stuff, we
even
should have
under
a pretty
debate?
good mailing
And
list.
our election board updated it as they were sitting there that day.
Okay.
They were going through and saying, this person moved, this person.
I think if we use that, we're gonna get a lot of it. And then
Yeah.
we do the stuff that we have been doing and it'll be out there, you know. So I think that's a good idea, just use that election list.
Signed or postcards.
can you order them printed? And I don't suppose we,
can.
I'm certainly
Yeah.
going to try.
but I'm thinking, could you even do postal patron? Could you drop them in the Sanborn post office and say just for postal I mean, that's what we did for campaigning. I don't know why, you would catch some people that weren't Barnes County North people, but you would catch everybody who lived there.
We'll check on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
just,
Okay.
would make it easier. Spiritwood would be too hard, now I'm gonna take that back, Spiritwood would be too hard, because half of us have Jamestown addresses, half have Yipsy, and half have Spiritwood, so you don't wanna
Never
say.
mind.
No, just don't do the Spiritwood, I'll tell you all the people who live there.
Yeah, that was a good idea, but never mind. Yeah, it was too easy.
50%.
So we have a somewhat of a date that would work early January or what?
Yeah, you guys.
First,
A little later than the first.
second.
Not the 18th to the 28th.
She's on vacation.
So you're saying seven.
So you want to do it before that, so you have a
17th?
reason to vacate and have fun, okay?
Night of the 17th.
When's our meeting in January?
16th, isn't it?
Yep,
Third Tuesday to the 16th,
Okay.
third Wednesday.
third Wednesday.
Third
Wednesday.
And we wonder why we get confused.
Or do we want it before the meeting? Or,
Don't you think? Then
I
just
I
get
just
her to-
kind of think so.
Yeah, we have
But
to
not
Call
have
it before the meeting and then have the decision and.
Because if we're going to do that, the cards need to go out in December,
Correct.
Oh.
Yep.
so.
You're not gonna want to, you're gonna want to do that the same evening
No,
as the
no, no, I
school
said
board
we want it
meeting?
before
Yeah,
our meeting
okay,
is what it
okay.
is. Yeah.
Oh,
Like a
all
day
right.
before.
Not right before,
I was
no.
thinking
I was
like-
gonna say,
like
that's
night,
not a
like
good
right
idea.
before.
No,
Because there could be nobody here and you
Okay.
could have a,
we want to have that meeting before we have our regular meeting.
But
Not,
if
not the
we-
same day, no.
If we send this postcard out in December when people are getting all their holiday cards,
January
It's gonna
1st. It can
just
go out
get
January
lost.
2nd. It can go out January
I
2nd.
think we mail it in January and have the meeting.
In January.
How far in advance are we mailing the postcard? 2 weeks?
2
Yep.
weeks.
At least.
No.
I'm just, that's my thought. It would get thrown away at my house. Just-
I would forget about it a month out.
Yeah, you,
Yeah.
2 weeks for a postcard is plenty notice, I think.
You have nothing going on, you got the whole time off, don't worry about it.
Well, we could do
What
it,
time off?
we could do it the day before the school board if we wanted, or before our board meeting.
15th is the doubleheader at.
Okay, I lied.
8 AM, 14th is open, Monday night, Monday the 14th.
We can't tie it on to the same,
No,
oh,
I
no,
don't think
we
so.
can't do
I
that.
don't think we want to do that.
you don't want to. Because it might take, it might be 10 minutes and it might be
Oh.
2 hours.
We don't want to be here till midnight, theoretically.
So does January 14th work for anybody?
That's a Monday night and it's no activities.
No activities, not Monday.
So far.
Well, that remains to be seen.
Sporting activities.
No sport events,
Yeah.
no basketball. We have a doubleheader
So there,
next night.
it's now 7 o'clock, January 14th, right? In the evening?
Correct.
Correct.
Let's make it so.
Do you feel like the whip is out?
Right.
Yeah.
So do we
Put it
need-
in for
Advertised
the-
to be in the comments.
Advertise it for the commons, yeah.
And you'll need to let me know what you want on the postcard,
Okay. Okay,
how you want it
okay,
worded.
gotcha. Okay,
And you want those mailed in like January 2nd?
yeah, right after we get back, after
Yeah.
the first of the year, yeah.
I don't know what day the first is on, so.
Tuesday.
Second.
Could do it the 2nd or the 3rd
Yeah.
if you,
Stick
Yep,
in the mail for Thursday.
it's gonna
Okay.
cost you a few pennies, by
Okay.
the way. Just saying.
next we have extracurricular salary schedule discussion.
Okay, we went through at our extracurricular meeting and, we talked a lot about, how much the increase, things like that were. At 12.5% of the base right now, we come up to $5,125 for head coach. I went through, looked at Carrington's. Carrington sets theirs just as a base salary and they raise it every year. So this year it was $4,700. So it'd be a little higher than theirs. Edgeley, they receive 11% of the base plus $36 a year for experience, and they have 3 separate lanes with percentages and to fit into all positions. They're at $36,250. Their head coach gets $3,987.50.
That's their first year, or
That's
that's
the first year coach. Yep.
39 what?
$3,987.50.
Okay,
Maple Valley is at 12% of the base, and then you add years of experience. They're at $36,700 for base. So their head coach receives $4,404. Midcoda does relatively the same thing that Carrington does, and they're at $4,500 for their base salary. And then they base all their salaries off of their head coaches. So you range from a low at Edgley of just under 4,000 to Carrington at 4,700.
And they all have experience added to it.
Carrington and Midcoda don't, because they do their base every year. They redo a base.
Percentage of the base. But they don't have any additional for,
No, didn't look like a number. It just said $4,700, and it had what each one, what each position, like assistant coach got 65% of that, and
Okay.
the 4,700 and that, so. Didn't look like they got any experience either. So the only discussion was, I guess, the committee recommended that we accept that proposal. There was a couple different things on there. The cross-country we talked about. We talked about if there's only, when I checked with the other schools, if they had cross-country, most of them don't. But they said if they have one person, they would pay the regular coaching salary just because one person, you have to put in as much work as you would with another, a full team. But the proposal from our group was cross-country, if you got under 5, we give them that stipend that we give to the non-sporting events, the archery, trap club, dance. So that'd be that $1,000. If you had 5 to 10, go to an assistant salary, 10, above 10, you'd give the head coaching salary. Or the other option is you don't offer it if you don't have enough kids. And that's the other thing. If you've only got one kid, generally what'll happen is if we can't find anybody to coach them, we had Ashley McFadgen ran this year. Her mom coached her in Hannah last year. So I would think that that's probably what she would do if we only had one kid and we needed somebody to do it. I think she'd probably take it back, but we just, and then that was the question, we just give her a stipend then and let her take our vehicles or pay her mileage and whatever the needs, things like that. That's the one that came under question. We also talked about a little bit on the percentages. If you go 12% on the head coach, it's $4,920 as opposed to the $5,125. So relatively, you're right in that ballpark of where a lot of these other schools are at, either one. But the 12% worked out to $4,920, and the 12.5 worked out to $5,125. So it's about $200 difference on the head coaches, and then as you drop down, it gets a little less.
So I'm confused. I wasn't here last time. This one's throwing me off a little bit. Why are we doing head coaches? We're talking $5,125, and right now we're at $3,150. Why are we jumping all the way
We're
down
not-
to lanes 27,
We're not giving
28
any
years?
experience. We're done with experiences.
So
And
why?
he's probably at, right now, he's well over 4,000.
Okay, but, okay. Okay, I'm confused. Why would you, so we're not paying for experience?
This would not experience, it would all be based on your base. It'd be 11, 12, you're at.
So someone at
12.5%.
12 years is going to get the same wage as someone at 1 year, except for maybe a little increment increase? What's the advantage of sticking as a coach?
What they would like to see is, okay,
12%.
and that becomes a question too, but here's the head coach, I think what he did was he got it so that they were all relative where they're at now, or a little bit higher than what they're at now. So
Who's he?
what's
What am
gonna-
I missing
Mr.
again?
Schaefer helped put this together.
Okay.
So what it comes out to be would be this year, even, yeah, you're right, he would get $5,100. Allison Doctor get $5,100. It's her first year of coaching.
Yeah, that makes zero sense to me, and it makes
The
zero.
reason he wants to do it, he doesn't want experience on there, is because of the fact that at some point in time, your assistant coach could be making more than the head coach. So if you brought, say for instance, you brought Allison's coaching now, she's at 1 year, so
Yeah.
she's at 30, whatever we're at now. So she's there, then Dale Lundum comes in and coaches, and he's got 30 years of experience. So he comes in higher than she does on the
Right.
level. And that's what they're trying to get away from, because the responsibility difference between the head coach and assistant coach is huge.
Right, I get that.
And so that's where we're proposing this off of, using the base salary and no experience, they just get and that's why they bumped up the salaries, was so that you would not, so you wouldn't have to take the year of experience every year.
I just remember, well, see, once again, the person that's been here, I remember how hard it was to get to this salary schedule, and because of grandfathered people in and this whole thing. This this is, I'm having trouble with this one. I don't understand why somebody just starting out should get $5,100 to coach. It doesn't make
Well, the
sense.
problem you're gonna run into is we don't have people banging on the door. If we did, we wouldn't even be considering this.
Okay, so then why can't we stick with this old one and increase the base? I mean, instead of going with this, I actually don't get the whole thing.
So our
But,
base is $41,000. We base the head coaching salary off of that, just like these other schools are doing. We're based, so we go 12% of the base, comes out to that 4920, then everybody else is based off of that head coach's salary.
So if you-
Maple Valley does have increase for years
Maple
of,
Valley does have percentage for years of experience.
yes.
So if
They
you
do
go
add for
through
experience.
negotiated periods where you don't have a base increase, your coaches aren't gonna,
They're not gonna
their,
get it.
their
They're
pay's
gonna
not
get
gonna
it.
increase.
Right.
Where if you're at these other schools, it's gonna continually increase every year based off of that experience.
But ours do go up every year. I
On
mean,
that-
we negotiate.
On the old one, this is the
Yeah.
one
On
that
the
they're
old one.
proposing, yeah, on the old one it does.
I don't understand why, I mean, you're going to 27 and 28 years of experience and you're starting them at that level. I don't understand it. I
Because
mean,
you need to be up there because look at what we have.
yeah,
You're having a constant turnover in your coaches. So if you want to build stability, you have to make it worthwhile. But it's also an enticement for people that we have currently on staff to maybe think about coming back.
so how long
and
is it
doing
an enticement if you don't give them more dollars for years of service? You know what, you actually have to, I think it's not fair to pay someone just coming in the same wage as someone who's been there 10 years. I just don't think it's fair to the person that's dedicated the time. This, to me,
We don't have
Yeah,
anybody
10
on our
years
staff that's been, that's
our
dedicated, we
time.
don't have
Yeah.
anybody that's there right now.
As a teacher that
So
was a
we're
coach, it's,
wow.
after the second month or,
Mm-hmm.
towards that end of the season, you're burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your, depending on whether you get it with your paycheck, it's almost pittance. I mean, it's
Yep.
really not worth it, even to come in and say, as a first year teacher coming in and say, okay, I wanna be everything and help the school out and do all that stuff. You'll never wanna come back.
And it's
I
not
don't-
really, and you can speak to this too as a former coach, it's not me thinking that, it's my spouse.
Yeah.
Going, you're away from home
Yeah.
this much and that's all you're getting?
I have zero problem with raising
Raising
the
it.
salary. I just don't like this idea that everybody's the same regardless of years of experience. Because we always, that's what we want. And so, how long does this work when after 3 years, you've got somebody who's now been in there 15
It's
years?
the starting point though, you look at that starting point.
Well, that's the whole point. Now, all of a
of-
sudden, it's just
It's
built
low
even
though.
bigger.
If the starting point is $3,100.
I think what she's saying, she's fine with that starting point is too
I'm
low.
sold with raising the starting point. I don't like the idea of this, whatever this
Fixed
proposed extracurricular
5,100
salary
at-
is.
I don't think, what she's saying, I don't think it's fair that, say, Stacy, at how many years has he been in it?
Yeah,
16, I
10
think it was, wasn't it?
10, 15 years or whatever, sitting there saying, I'm getting 5,100 and the one just starting is gonna get 5,100.
because in 2 years, they're gonna come back and say, you know what, this isn't right,
And then-
that we're getting the
Then
same
what
wage.
happens when Stacy says, I can't do the head coaching anymore, I'll be an assistant, our new science teacher can be the head coach,
Take all the pressure and take all the.
and he's taking all the pressure, he's taking all the, but Stacy's getting his 16 years of experience.
Why would he? He only
You
has
could-
16 years as a head coach.
As a
He
head
has not
coach.
as assistant.
You could
No,
limit,
it's years of experience.
Right.
Doesn't matter if
Well,
it's
then I would
assistant or.
fix
but
that as
you could
opposed to
limit
this.
what you could bring in for your assistant coach, if that's the problem, that you don't want the assistant to be above it, you could max out that
Yeah.
assistant coach level to stay under them.
Yeah.
If that's the biggest concern.
I like the percentage myself.
I like the percentage, I do also like something for years of experience.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and I do too. It's just that, being where we are, you have to look at trying to draw interest
Mhm.
from the, in
No,
those
I agree.
positions.
So you can fix it very easily, just say if you get $50 every year of experience then, and leave
Just
it
add that
as is.
in there.
Yeah, a little more, but not a lot.
Because Ed's is $36 a year, I don't know how they come up with that, but they get $36 a year.
You know, the difference is our base is a lot higher than anyone else's base too.
Yeah.
And so I'm not comfortable with the 12.5 then. If we're going to do that, then I'm comfortable with moving it down a
And I
little bit.
believe that that's the reason he didn't put years of experience in there, is because he would like the higher.
Of course you do.
Some of the stuff that was discussed at the committee meeting, we're probably one of the only rural schools, and our coaches are driving from Valley City,
that, yeah.
Jamestown. So, yeah, the base is higher. They're probably getting a couple $100 more. I think we felt that that was worth that little bit for where we're at. When I penciled this out myself on a coach, and I kind of went off Mr. Schaefer's time, and I figured the practices, games, the time he's gone, and the stuff he does for the team, and we just went on an average, and I figured that out. It's like $5 an hour he's making. So
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see that if we're a little higher than another school, that doesn't bother me.
So then what's wrong with this? What's wrong with what we have if we increase the
If
base?
we brought the base up to say
If we brought the base
4,400
up
on the
and
base.
stayed within this, so they did get their years of experience.
That was, the main thing that came up was so that an assistant never got above a head coach, is what I understood.
How often did that happen? I mean, how often has that happened that we're throwing away a system that works?
Just write that on the top. Assistant will never get more than head.
I mean, I think you can address
Right?
that.
Good, yeah.
Personally, though, I don't know that it's working because we can't get coaches and we can't keep coaches. So to me, a system isn't working if we can't get and keep
So
coaches.
you want.
Well, if we left it like this, I agree with that, but if we raise that and done the same thing, what's the difference on
'Cause
that
this-
type of schedule than a percentage
This
schedule?
starts at 31.5. Why
What-
wouldn't you start at that amount? But then, of course, and they would not complain because all of a sudden, his years of experience have got him. It's actually way more money than what you're talking about with your percentage, which is maybe,
No, he wouldn't be at the 5,000.
If we start out the
If we-
base at
if we-
44?
if we change the base.
If you change the base, he would.
yeah.
You mean changing like the percentage of,
Not even percentage, just
percentage.
start that
Stay-
schedule at 44 instead of 31,
Yeah. And then the whole
or
thing,
whichever number.
Yeah,
instead of doing the percentage. But
what did that
see
start
that
at?
base
31.5.
salary.
this started
Which is
at-
way too low.
Which is way too low. I agree.
So just raise it and do the experience.
Yeah, and do like, yeah, and then every year of
Just
experience
change
brings it up.
the starting,
So if you started at 4,400 and you added his 15 years, where would it put it?
Yeah,
I'd have to calculate that, I don't know.
yeah, go
I think
for
it was 16 he was at.
16?
But it still is that same idea of getting that, so we're looking at Schaefer at 16 years, it's great, he's been doing it for 16 years. What about that new teacher that comes in, and that $4,400 is putting in the same amount of time that Schaefer does, because he's a head coach too, and he pencils it out and he's getting $2 an hour for all the work he's doing.
Well, how do you justify, I'm just gonna throw in how do you justify for the teacher that does the same job? One's been here 15 years and one's a first-year teacher. They're putting the same amount of time in.
Actually, a first-year teacher might be putting in more time because
And you have
everything's
this.
new.
I mean, the same scenario.
Well, that's a completely different story, because as a teacher, I didn't agree with that either, so.
Okay.
Story, it's still the same deal, you know.
Because we know there's some teachers that just ride it out.
I mean, the other aspect too, that we've been talking about, you know, we don't want the assistant coach to eventually pass up the head coach and all the issues there. But we also want to be able to get assistant coaches. You know, so if that base is based off of 65% of that 50, whatever it is that we're looking at, as opposed to the 44, there's a difference, because you look at our assistant coaches, we've got one who's on staff as a teacher. The rest of them are coming from other places.
But that's not a percentage there.
They've got this without a percentage. You have assistant coaches. I mean, if you raised all these and run the same schedule. and give
You know,
them-
that's
But
basic.
then that's no different than during negotiations when we're talking about the teacher salary and if we were wanting to change all that, that could be a super long, complicated process. The percentage of the base is just simple.
But this doesn't come into negotiations now anymore.
No, I know.
No.
I'm just saying, we're talking about revamping this whole schedule and it's no different than that schedule, you know? It's still a long, big, long process. Cause, you know, do you change, you know, this to 4,400? Do you do the same percentage to all these coaches? And, you know, you could throw it 1,000 different ways.
Yep.
The percentage is just an easy way to do it, in my opinion. It's just simple.
That was my goal at the meeting. I wanted to keep it simple.
Yeah.
And just simple.
The only thing is, I think simple's gonna come back and bite you in a couple of years, because I think that then people will say, you know what, I put in this time, it really isn't fair. I mean, it'll go right now because everybody's getting a raise. But in 2 years, it won't. It'll come back.
But we're
And,
gonna be
you know.
higher than a lot of people, so. Look at your wage.
Salary isn't
But
all
that's
the
just like
main
the other
part of
schools that
keeping them.
do it up based off of percentage
Right.
of that base. Our base is higher than
Absolutely.
a lot of those, so that's why our coaching base is starting high. Why do we do that? Because we want, if we need to find teachers, that is an incentive to choose us over Edgeley or Ellendale or whoever, that we pay more. If you wanna coach here or you wanna coach in where, another area, coach here because we offer.
Yep. I don't have a problem increasing the base. I have a problem with the percentage.
So then you would like, so the percentage, if you leave the percentage as is and give them $50 a year for experience. You just put that in this salary schedule. So they come in with 10 years of experience, they get $500 onto the base.
12% on the base, $50 a year.
I'm fine with the percentage. I just like to have something for years of experience. I mean, that's just where I'm at. I just want some, I think they should be
I agree with
rewarded
you.
a little bit for years of experience.
Yeah,
What is it-
loyalty
what is it
has
right
its
now? I
rewards,
can't
you know.
remember what
It should.
What do they get for
see
years of
that sheet.
experience? Every year they get what? So the head coach goes from what, 3150 to what?
75, I think, on this.
75.
Well, I just looked at the head. I'm sure they're all different, but
Yeah, they're all, but, so it's $75 a year. So you're up in the base, you give them $50 a year for experience.
And really, do you really think, I'm curious, do you guys really think that in 5 years, the people that have been doing this for 20 years are gonna be happy? Because if you
Well,
look
okay,
at
so
it
here's the
long-term,
difference, okay, so it's $25 a year is what it would be on the head
Mm-hmm.
coaching salary. So in 5 years, it's what, $125?
I just think that sometimes you
So
should
what are you
reward people.
proposing? Do you want to just raise that amount and be done with
I don't
it?
know what I'm proposing, I just saw this, so it's like, it was, you know, and
I
I
don't see
didn't
any
understand
reason
what I was reading.
If
so.
you want to do, I mean, I don't know why, if you're, the percentages, I think, are much easier to calculate than that is. If you want to use years of experience, Amy's got them all on the contract, and Stacy's got 16 years of experience, we add $50 per year that he's had experience. And then every year he coaches, he gets another $50 plus the raise to the base.
Well,
See, this way, you're never gonna get an increase except the $75.
unless
The base-
you move the base
unless
each
you-
year.
no, but
Unless you moved it each year
yeah.
like your percentage is
Yeah.
gonna do, yes.
Yeah, and that would have to be something you have to do every year. This way, you put a percentage on it, so at 41,000, at 12.5%, I'm at 5125, I got 10 years' experience, I get another $500 onto that, and then you just go by the percentage every year. Then you don't have to look, you don't have to keep looking at what you're gonna offer each year for that.
What's the committee, what's their proposal? To just do the
Go with
straight
this.
With the
What's the
percentage?
percentage, yes. The way what he's talking.
At the 12, 12 and a half, I've heard two
They-
different
they
numbers.
said-
Well,
What they said was, they would be happy with the 12 and a half, but, the committee said, but they didn't know what the feeling of the board was, if you guys wanted to adjust that at all, so that's why I gave you the 12%, and it came down to about $200 on the head coach.
That's with his experience on there.
No,
No.
No,
No,
I mean,
that's
if
just-
you brought the base down to 12, or brought it down to 12%, and then added his years of experience, would be $200 less than what he's getting, or on this proposed?
No, if you, just on this.
12 to 12.
Oh,
From
okay,
12 to 12.5% is $200.
okay.
So it's 49.20 at 12 and 51.25 at 12.5. So it'd be $200 less for his salary without any experience. at all.
and
Okay,
so we're talking head, but did you change any percents
Nope.
off
only
from
one-
the head?
The only one that we did was yearbook had to go up to 50% because it was $2,500.
Those all are the same as what you had last month, is what I'm saying. You
Yes.
didn't change anything
Yeah,
that
the
committee.
only one that would, on the 12%, the only one that would have to change would be the yearbook advisor, would have to go up to 51% just to get it to 2,500. The rest would all be the same, the 65, 40, 26.
And the extended season thing, up to how
Extended
much?
season, they were, that was all, they left this the same, the extended season would be.
Well, I don't remember what it was before,
Okay.
is what I was trying to say. I don't know what it was originally.
Here, I made a copy, if you wanna look at what they did there.
No, but I
It
don't
was
know
like
what that,
125,
150 for head coach.
yeah, and they went to 200.
Assistant coach.
Yeah.
okay, so that's why I didn't know what it
They're
was
raising
right
about
now.
$50 a person, $50 an event, I think.
Does this go in policy? Where is this going? They just said it wasn't part of a
No, we
negotiated
took it out
contract.
of, we took it out of the negotiated agreement.
So where did,
So
how
is
often
just-
does this get,
for- You could look at every year.
If you went with percentage, it would, it's
Change
just
every
there.
it just automatically would
automatic.
change.
So then every
So
time they
we
get
can
into
look at it every year
negotiations
if
and the
this
base
is, if
changes,
this
it
is like a
changes
big
too.
fail, we can,
Yeah.
and if it's a grand success, then we've done
That's why
something
it
right.
would be just be
Okay.
easier to put it on a percentage, then you don't have to look at it
Yeah,
every year.
yeah.
It's
Let's
just
go for it, you guys.
simple.
Make your motion, be done with
And then
it.
add the
No,
experience in there?
no,
or no?
no, they were happy with this. Why would we do
Okay.
that?
I would,
But what you had last month, the percentage off the head coach, they're the same as you had
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
month.
We never
Yep.
changed that.
Yep. Yeah, the only one would have been the cross-country, because we were discussing that. And so that one, we have to decide how you guys want to handle that one.
Well, I don't think 1,000 would be right, and I don't think. I mean,
Or cross-country?
For like that stipend, you mean?
I don't think that'd be right for, if it's one of our sponsored
The other-
sports. I
The other
don't
one,
believe that.
the other one that came up was, if it's under 5, do you give them the assistant coach's salary then? Or do you go 70%, which that's what, when they
Right.
first brought this, they brought.
So what,
70%.
I guess where I'm coming from, what's the committee's recommendation for cross
They went
country?
with the stipend and the assistant and head salary.
The
if you-
stipend,
Stipend and assistant if it's over 5, and then if it's over 10, the head coach.
Was the stipend for under 5?
I think so.
Why you-
They spend
you're-
time at those
Yeah.
events. Oofda.
I mean,
don't
you're
know.
asking them to do a head coach's job, but now we don't want to pay them for a head coach's job just because there's less people?
That's why we
That
brought it
doesn't
for
seem
discussion,
fair.
because the one thing
Oh my
was,
God, I'm playing
what do we
both
do
sides of
with one
everything.
kid? I mean,
Yeah.
that came up, what do we do with one kid?
Well-
You
I
know,
think
one
at that
person-
point, you decide if you're offering it, and if you offer it, then you pay them.
Get the
I mean,
head
I think
coach.
that's where I
Yeah.
would think. You decide if you're offering the activity.
Because don't you do just as much to prepare one? I mean, sometimes that's harder.
Or what's your guys on the committee's thought there on cross-country? You guys that
I
were on the
think
committee?
you guys can make sure if I'm wrong, the only reason we did it was because we talked about, the concern came up if you only got one kid.
Yeah.
And how much time you
Are you
put,
gonna pay them $5,100 for one kid?
and how much time are they putting
Yeah.
in? Yeah.
And I think, well, cross-country, wasn't so much coaching as being a
Supervisor.
supervisor for them to run.
I think the whole thing was, and Allison did a lot more than we had before, because, and Kelly she did a lot when she was coaching, so maybe we should ask.
She's
When
smart.
she left,
Yeah,
when we look back there.
But she had a lot of kids, I
Yeah,
don't
She had
know.
more kids out,
yes.
so, I mean, her time, she was here most mornings at what, 6:30?
Yeah.
So, and Allison I know she took Ashley down to, they did stuff down in Valley City, and, so she did do those things. It was just that, that came up, that what do you do with one athlete?
Yeah.
what do
You
you
know-
do if, when you're looking at it for next year, do we want to see the numbers increase? Is that an edict that we put out there? We need to see the numbers increased, otherwise, what happens when Ashley graduates?
Right.
If there's not a feeder, then we just stop. We stop offering it, we don't,
Or we try to find a co-op with another school.
Right.
yeah. I mean, that's something that, weigh into,
Because
factor in.
wasn't it Ashley, the one that's the swimmer?
She has swum, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and she went to James, or Valley City for that.
She has some.
Swum. Did she go to Valley or actually through Jamestown?
It's through Jamestown.
Valley? Valley?
So I mean, if that's the case too, if we only have one or two kids, do we try to get a co-op get them in another program?
Right.
Because it's good for the kids to be involved in something, but there's some things we just can't offer all the time.
And basically what you'd be doing if you had the one student and you went to Valley City, it would basically be, she would run as a Valley City runner. I don't think she'd ever go down there for practice.
Right.
Right.
We could have somebody supervisor up here and, or she could run on her own or however, so that would be something to discuss, I suppose, at Valley City if we wanted to look at that option too. I'm not sure what they have for cross-country.
I think it's, like Mr. Wilson was saying, we gotta get a feeder program, otherwise we don't have a program.
So I guess if the activity group has a total proposal, we vote on it.
I mean, the thing, and originally when we started this, I had it down as that the cross-country is listed at the head coaching position.
Yep, that's
So
all you had it
when
last.
came up- That's
Yep.
when it came up, well,
What do we do if
one
we just got
student,
one?
whatever. So I guess I would, and you guys can help me, but I guess I would then, in that case, leave it as the 51.25 as the 12.5%, and then we can make adjustments as we go forward. If we want to co-op, we want to, look at.
Decide if we're offering the
as far as
program.
Work around that, and like Mr. Wilson said, work on that, trying to get more kids involved and see where it goes. And if we've only got one kid, do we offer it, or do we just say no? It's $500 if you want to join another it'd be $1,000 because each school has to pay $500, but to join a co-op after the season. So if we decided next year we were having a program, we wanted to send her to Valley City, we'd have to pay for it.
And I don't know if we have enough sports to really think about doing it, but you can tier your head coaches and assistant coaches into different levels.
Correct.
Based off of the sport that they're coaching in. So your cross-country isn't gonna be in the same tier as your football coach and your volleyball coach and your basketball head coaches. They're at a different tier, so that's starting at a different level, so there's not that argument, well, you only have one person, I've got all these football players, and it just takes that, but I don't know if we have enough sports.
Well, you could base that off, participation, if you got under 10 kids or 5 kids, and tier that percentage down.
Are you gonna do that all the way through? I mean, you're gonna
Why-
have your
I mean, why
elementary,
not?
so, I mean,
They
that
just
would be
talked-
all of it.
Have
They just
to
talked
be-
about making it simple.
Yeah.
Because
Well, then go back to the 1,000 for one and be done with it. I mean,
what do we normally have for track? How many kids?
Depends on the year. There was,
And I
10
think
to
that really
20.
goes to your quality of your coaches. You look at the coaches that we had for track last year, we are gonna have 2 different track coaches this year, I think. The same way, we're gonna have a new volleyball coach. When does that person get hired? How are they working on the numbers, keeping the numbers what they are? But, I mean, the problem we're running into is being able to keep coaches. Longevity is what breeds and builds and fuels those feeder programs. If you don't have somebody out there growing the interest of your 4th and 5th graders, 2nd graders, all that to this, they're not gonna play the sports. They're not gonna have that interest in there. And if you have a constant turnover in your coaches, they don't have that buy-in and that willingness to worry about those feeder programs if I might not be here next year. So
And that's where those head coaches gotta work with that
Yes.
lower groups. They
Yep.
really gotta get involved with them.
Put forth your motion.
Don't look at me, Cindy.
Brent's not here to look at. What do you say?
I mean, I guess that in that instance, then you leave cross-country then as a head coach position, and then negotiate it as you go forward. I mean,
Yeah.
you can just tell that whoever's prospective coach said, hey, here's the deal. We've only got one person running, you know, or if you have 10, you know, we could, that might be just a negotiation, but leave it as a head coach position at this point. And
I
then all
agree
you
with
need-
that.
All you need to decide then would be your 12 or 12 and a half. Or 11, 10, whatever you guys decide. I guess it's just, we started at the 12.5 and Brenda made the comment, and if you guys want to change it there, you know, they would be willing to discuss that too. But
And if you kept it there, that might be her incentive to get more kids in to keep that, you know, to keep that going. Because, you know, it's Allison, she's also the basketball coach, and gonna be, you know, starting out, losing that $5,100, that's a big chunk for a person that's just starting out in the teaching profession, you know, and that might be an incentive to try and grow that program, get more interest out there.
Are we at the point of making a motion?
That or a recommendation from the board so we could vote on, yes, one or the other.
I make a motion, we go with the 12.5% as was
percentage.
set.
So are you
presented
making a
tonight.
motion to accept the proposed
As
From the committee.
extracurricular salary as written?
Yes.
That's written.
Yes.
Sorry if I'm confused, but does that include experience? No.
No.
No, there's no experience on this one.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion?
Oh, there's been plenty of that.
I was gonna say, I think we already
Any
did
other?
that.
Well, there has been, but I'm agreeing with some of you on that discussion on, I don't know.
Well, when we roll call,
Well,
we can
are
decide.
do you,
Well, I don't know, I'm feeling like, yeah, if someone comes in with experience, I mean, I know you have a different opinion, which we'll need to talk about sometime. 'Cause I'm because I'm curious about it, I'm curious your thought on it. No,
She's
do I
gonna straighten
think?
you out.
No, I don't think because someone's been here 30 years, they just automatically deserve something. I think I know where you're going on that. But I do believe experience has something to be said for when you're taking a group of kids, if we want to use basketball, taking a group of kids and you're a first-time coach as a head coach, first time you're in control of a team, like to move them through, I don't know, I think there's something to be said for experience, so leaving it out is fine if everyone thinks that's what we should do, but I do think maybe it needs to be thought about a little bit more, my opinion.
My opinion is the same. I'd like to see something with experience, but roll call, Amy.
Chad?
No.
Michelle?
No,
Cindy? Lori?
No.
Mike?
No.
Lee?
Yes.
Rob?
yes.
Brett?
Maybe. I'll give it a yes, why not?
I think,
Did
want
we
to be
just
clear
tie?
that,
Did we
We
just
tied.
tie? So it died.
Where's
Oh, I
Brent?
can't believe I did that.
You said, you said yes?
Sure.
So,
It's a tie.
because Mr. Bruner,
I think nobody's against the raise. I want that to come.
Yes, yes.
The concern is the years of experience.
And add $50 a year to the. for
I think,
experience and
couldn't
be done.
that be done? And, well, okay, let's look at it this way, it's 12%, we're taking it off the base, right?
Yeah.
As their years of experience go up, don't they get paid more?
Yes.
Should we take that off the base or take it off there?
huh?
What you're saying is maybe drop the base to 12 or something and add the
And then go
experience.
experience.
I think the other thing that you have to consider too is who developed this plan, who came up with this plan?
The one that's in right now?
No, the percentage, based off the percentage. It was Mr. Schaefer, who has quite a few years of experience. And your concern is if a coach came in that had experience, he's got his 16 years of experience. And he's fine with going off of that base level. So, you know, wondering if a coach comes in with this experience and they don't get that, the guy that put this together has all that experience, and he's fine with this. You know, it was him that came up with it.
He's
Why
the
aren't we
only
trying to
coach.
outthink the guy that put it together?
It's one person though, too.
Yeah, he's not majority.
Yeah, so I mean, I get what you're saying, because I thought that too. I don't know.
So
No one's-
$1,250 a year for experience?
I have a question. Did Mr. Schaefer confer with the other coaches?
I have no idea. All he brought this to the experience.
He said he did,
He
yes.
did at the beginning of the school year. I mean, as a new teacher coming in and with zero coaching experience and looking at the salary and being asked to be a coach, the percentage makes sense because of the time that we put in. I mean, I was here from 7:50 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night some nights. And I was burnt out. I'm a kindergarten teacher, I was burnt out, new position, all those things. So, I mean, the percentage makes makes sense, but I see the years of experience as well. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Well, I don't think any of us sitting here are against the percent.
I don't think so.
I feel like we're
No.
all for the 12 or 12 and a half. I think we're all for that. I just think some of us feel maybe a little bit should be given for some experience. Am I understanding that right?
I think that's where we're at.
Okay.
I mean, realistically, that's where
Decide
it's at.
12, 12 and a half, and $50 a year experience?
Perfect. Make it happen. I'll
Can
make
we-
that
can we
motion.
hit- Okay.
Okay,
Well,
well, just
you're gonna go with both of them and just,
wait till we discuss
12%.
it here.
12%, $50 a year for each year of experience.
How
in that
many
sport.
coaches do we have
Yes.
that have any experience as a head coach? How many
Just
years
Mr.
are we
Schaefer.
talking? Just
No.
Mr. Schaefer, there's no,
Because everybody else is new, right?
Allison's gone, yep. Allison's first year, Becco's first year, Allison's.
So all them people right now, if we don't do anything, or we're only gonna get $3,150, we wanna get them closer to $5,000.
And that's what we're doing.
And that's
by
what we're
doing-
wanting to do. So
Yep.
we're all in favor of raising that up. We're talking a couple $100 on the base, but we're trying to give them some stuff for years of experience, in what you're talking about.
Yep, and as their years go up, then they get a little bit more.
so
And it's also gonna increase as the base
the
moves.
base
As, yep, as the base goes up also.
could we do it at 12% as opposed to the 12.5?
I
Yep,
think
that's
that's
what
where
he
we
said.
were
Yeah,
getting
okay.
to here.
Oh, I'm
Here,
sorry.
Focus.
So the curiosity, because it's happened to me, if you add in the experience, does that freeze if you do a freeze on
Salary?
It
salaries?
should, actually.
I would say no,
Years
because
of
that's
experience
good.
doesn't-
Years of experience wouldn't matter.
Years of experience, you'd still get if we didn't raise the base salaries, what you're saying,
Yep,
The base stays the same.
next year that coach would get $50 more.
so the experience doesn't get frozen.
Correct.
No.
Because it
No.
had,
A lot
on the
of times
two,
it does.
on mine, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, we're not that
for the
mean.
experience on that, but the argument
We
for
did.
doing that is that if you're going to give that experience benefit to your coaches, why can't we get it as teachers still? Even if our base stays the same, why can't we
They,
get
they
that?
do, because
They
they
do.
get a year
They get a
increase
perc-
for
they get
just
a
getting.
percent.
Okay,
year
so
old.
if you do a freeze, they still get,
The
Their
percentage.
increment, yes.
yeah, you guys are nice.
Yeah, if you freeze
Right?
the base, they still
Yes.
get their year.
Oh,
Yeah.
we got everything. guys. Lane changes
No.
and everything,
No,
you know?
all
and
that stuff
was-
is there.
Okay.
Don't upset us that much.
Can I remake a motion, or once I've done it, am I done?
I can, there's a
Now what?
motion on the
There's a
Yeah, I'm
motion
up
on
on
the
ya.
floor.
He already upped it. He already put a
Oh, he
motion
put
out
it up there.
there.
I'll second
Oh,
that.
okay.
12 and 50 a year. I will second that. I like that.
Okay, so that's only head coaches. What do you do then about?
The
rest
others
of
will
them?
all work
The
off of
percent,
that.
Other-
the
okay.
percent.
They're just all off.
Should
The
that-
only thing would
Okay.
change is the 12 and a half, that first part of that.
Which would be now 12% base,
Which comes out to 49.20.
okay?
And
And
$50
then
a
the
year.
assistant
Let's
is, okay.
mean that.
I was just making sure.
Then it'll progress.
Okay, okay, we have a motion for 12% of the base,
Plus
$50 per year. All other percents work the same off that proposal.
Except the
Could-
only thing that Mr. Schaefer drew up is getting back to the years of experience. If you have a head coach come in as a first year and you have somebody like, you said Dale Lundum come in with 30 years of coaching experience, now your assistant coach is making more. Your
But they
Head
only
coach.
do-
$50.
At $50, it would take a long,
Because you're getting a percent off of the head coach.
Right.
yeah.
So that should take care of, that should.
Are all coaches getting
Well-
$50? I thought it said.
No, just the head
Or-
coach are getting the 50.
Yeah.
Just the head coach.
Head
Everything
coach.
else is a percentage of.
Okay,
Off the percent, yeah.
okay.
So that should never.
And that'll keep
Yep.
it all simple. They're all
then
percentage
that
So
off.
that nobody else is getting,
65% of that for the head.
nobody else is getting experience other than the head coach.
No, no. It's
Is that what you're saying?
percentage.
Well, I thought it was everybody
Oh.
for experience.
I thought they
Was
were
I
talking,
wrong?
That's, no, that's what I was thinking.
I was misunderstood. I thought it was just the head coach.
I thought the head coach got 50 and then we did a percentage to the assistant and then a percentage down for
But
the
the-
7th and 8th grade. Use these,
I see what you're
65,
saying.
the 40 and the 26.
Because you're actually, if you only give the head coach the $50, the other ones aren't ever gonna see that.
Right.
They would never get any experience.
Right,
So you
yeah.
bring in a coach, you get, your assistant coach has 20 years, you'd never give him $50 for their years of experience because you don't give any because it's all based off the head coach.
Yeah, and
So
he's
if I
an
came in with-
assistant.
If I came in with 20 years of experience as an assistant coach, I'm gonna get $31.98. If I come in as 20 years, I'm gonna get another $1,000 onto my salary as a head coach, but nobody else will see that because.
The other
we're
ones,
only basing it
the
on
other ones
base.
will get a little bit of an increase, Rob, because that, as that head coach goes up, it's,
But that $50 isn't gonna be considered into that.
but
base.
take the,
But
no, it
your
won't, but
base
the
is
assistant
going
will
up.
come off, so the assistant coaches are gonna get a little bit, but
They're
not,
gonna get if the
a
base
little.
raises, they'll get a raise.
and they'll get a
Yeah,
little
they
bit
won't
off
get-
that 50.
But they won't get the off the
No.
50.
You're gonna take it off
You can't take it off.
just the
Because it's a
base,
percentage of
just the
base.
base,
Yeah,
just the
Yeah,
base.
because
Why can't it
this
be
is all
60?
based off the teachers, this is based off the head coach's base.
Okay,
So if the base
Yep.
goes up, the head coach's salary goes up, but no, then the other ones would do as well. But then if you add another 10 years on to the head coaches, that doesn't figure into the percentages.
so then we gotta make that say head coach's base, not off the head coach.
Well, the head coach gets 12% of teacher's base. And he's got 65% of head coach's salary. And
Yeah,
so
of
he's-
head coaches, but we gotta say off the head coach's base.
Yes,
then.
because if you're gonna give years of experience, it has to go to base.
Correct, because the way this reads, then the other ones would be getting part of that,
This would have to go 65% of head coach's base.
right.
But how
Would you
come
give
the,
them-
Tie up the details.
Would you give them the $50 a year or not?
how come the assistant coaches don't get an experience then?
Yeah, that's what, so you have two assistant coaches, one's first year and one's 20 years,
Yeah.
so the 20-year doesn't get anything?
that's
or-
They don't, we'll give them $25 a year then, for Pete's sakes.
I mean, if we
Now,
gotta have an
complicate-
experience thing, it's gotta go
complicating
down
things.
the
This
line.
is why we
Do we
just-
give our
this is why
paras,
this
do we give our
is-
paras experience? They just get a flat rate, right? Our paras get just a flat rate, right? I mean, they get paid. or do-
Comment back there.
I have a question, from a coaching standpoint.
Yep.
If you only give the head coach $50 a raise per year, I mean, I'm putting just as much time in as a junior high coach as the varsity is putting in. My season's shorter, but if I come in next year and I already have a year under my belt, I don't get any increase in my pay then from what I
Right.
made this year. So, because I already will have 2 years of experience.
I think it needs to go down the line.
The whole-
It
Yeah.
has
All
to
the
go
way.
down the line,
does.
Yeah.
because then I'm being asked to be an elementary basketball coach, and I will have 2 years of experience, and I'm not gonna get paid for that first year of experience then.
So why can't we do this? So the head coach gets the $50
What's the
and then
sticky
the
wicket?
assistant coach gets 65% of the salary. Can't it be 65%?
Of what that
Well,
head
because
coach
you're-
is?
No,
So
because
there
their
was-
experience, her experience, if it's 2 years, isn't gonna be
But,
same
like,
as 16 years.
if an assistant for Mr. Schaefer comes in, they're gonna get a lot more than an assistant for the girls'
Oh,
basketball.
this is what the.
Because
Yeah,
of the-
that's
This is
right,
all-
You're right, yep, that's right, that's true, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because he's already got
'Cause already
16 years
you're
of
gonna-
experience.
You're gonna separate those two, because Mr. Schaefer, on the proposal the motion that's on the table right now, is gonna get $700.20 and he would've got 5125 on the first proposal. So he's gonna get another $600, and then, you know, then that was gonna be higher than Allison's 5125 she's gonna get, because she's a first-year
Yeah.
coach. So now, how do you? break
That's why I
that
say
down?
this, that's why this has gotta get, the
It's
wording's
gotta
gotta
go
get
base-
changed
It's
here.
gotta go to the coach's base,
Gotta go
and
back
not
to
off
the
the
committee.
salary.
Gotta go back to the committee.
Yeah, we better kick it back.
No, let's figure it out tonight.
Okay.
Figure it out tonight, 'cause
Oh, can
They
we-
want a percentage.
Can we do this then? That $50 that we're giving the head coach, do 65% of that $50
That's
for
what
the
I said.
experience for the assistant coach.
Yeah.
That's what Lori was, I
Yeah.
think, trying to
That's
say.
what I was
Yep.
trying to do.
So
So.
that's-
But you
I don't have
can't
a
do it
problem
off
with
their
that.
salary.
Well, again, no,
Because my
that's gonna
experience
be.
I get you.
No, it's not gonna be based off the coach's salary,
Nope.
so,
What I'm saying is, we were trying to simplify it. Now we're making it 65% of $50, 40% of $50, 26% of $50.
So you just
You're
come
gonna
up
get
with a number.
35%.
that's just.
The
other
thing.
32.
Well, I understand it's an easy calculation, we
No,
gotta
the
do it
other
for
one.
each one of them.
I know what they're saying. We
The one
should
somebody
have
So then we should just go
flat
back to
rated
that
it
and
for
put
Yeah,
that
I
49.
think so.
done.
I think so.
So realistically, what we're saying is we should just go back to this and call this
Yep.
first line 49
And then do the
20.
numbers, yep.
and do your numbers.
Then you gotta figure out all the columns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're gonna do that, then we'd just change these numbers.
And it just falls, and then your years of
Experience
experience,
would go.
and your head coaches and assistant coaches and,
Now, there's a motion and a second on the table, you gotta vote
Yeah.
on that first. before we go into that.
'Cause right
Yeah,
now, the
everybody
motion
kill
is
that
for
one
just the
quick.
head
You
you
coaches.
can always rescind your motion.
Can I rescind? I'll
Yes,
rescind
Yeah, he's rescinding his motion.
on further thought.
Love it. This is a motion.
So there's
that's a-
not two motions on the table
There's not
yet,
a
is
thing
there?
on the
There's
table
nothing
right
there,
now.
man.
Table's empty, and I'm
Table's
getting
empty.
hungry. Let's,
Yes, and then the
Lee, go ahead,
recommendation
back to the
that
flat rate.
The recommendation that the activity, that the extracurricular brought is off the table then.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. There's nothing here, right? The first one, their recommendation, we tied. So now we're back to,
Okay?
Maybe
We're ready.
people have
You just
rethought
made
it.
the second motion to address what you guys.
and then he
talked about
rescinded
experience,
it.
and you rescinded it because you wanna go to that one.
there's further discussion.
Okay, so now you wanna go to that one.
No, I'm just saying that by doing what we're doing, pretty much throws us back to this one.
So, this is off the teacher's base salary, not the coach's salary, which is it?
Which,
This is the
So,
base salary.
Off
Oh,
the
that
base
one?
salary, so
That
it's
one?
like if
Oh, I-
Mr. Schaefer's doing it, is it 12.5% of his
Of
salary?
No.
No.
Of the
Teacher,
41,000.
41,000.
Okay, okay. Oh, you guys, just
of the teacher's salary, teacher's base salary.
Just do it at 12%. Okay, I'm making a motion. We'll try it again. We go with the proposed extracurricular salary as stated, except move the head coach's salary to 12% of the teacher's base salary and leave the rest as recommended by the committee.
No years of experience.
No years of experience.
No years of experience.
And that's
Give it
why-
a shot. I mean, what the heck? It seems like years of experience. I mean,
And that's why we did it this way, because see how confusing it got when you got years of experience? It just gets confusing, and this
Yep.
just makes it simple.
And they do get their raises as the
Yeah.
base goes up.
Yes.
Raise with the, yeah, is the
We're-
base
I
goes
think
up.
we were just.
I'll second that.
very good.
Okay. Motion is for 12% and everything else the same as the proposal. Second by
Write
Brett.
these down.
Any other discussion?
Well, now we lost a
Started
half
this whole
percent.
We lost a half
So they
percent
lost
and we still didn't gain the years of experience that I thought I liked.
Me too.
Well, I don't know why that's so hard. I'm like, you give $50 for the head coach, assistant coach is gonna get $32.50. So there's no figuring out except for one time. So I don't get that, why that's hard.
It's not.
But anyway. That's me.
Because then somebody's got to keep track of it all.
Yeah.
We gotta change it every year already. You gotta
Well-
change it every year anyway. You gotta keep track of it.
Yeah,
Every
but you
other-
wouldn't on the base.
Just as it moves, they're
You
just.
still-
Well,
gotta-
yeah, yeah.
On the proposal that's on the table right now, it's off the base, everybody will know exactly what they're getting.
Yeah.
You won't have to say, okay, let's say I have 15 years of experience, I get $50 a year, I add that to my total.
Same as the first proposal.
But less.
Less, so that ain't
Yep,
good.
exactly.
Okay,
I took the 0.5 off.
roll call. then.
Fine.
Chad,
No.
I missed,
Michelle,
Nope.
Cindy?
Are we voting on 12%?
12%.
Yeah, 12% and
Straight.
everything else the same as the proposal.
No, based on that.
Lori,
Yes.
Mike,
No, because now we lost both ways.
Lee,
No.
Rob,
No.
Brett.
nope. I misspoke on that, cause I was, you seconded the motion. Doesn't mean I can't change my mind.
I had to say yes, I made the motion, and you didn't even back me?
Well, I missed the extra half on that.
Don't ever protect me.
Well, I don't think we want to go back from where we were and still don't get your experience. That's where I'm at.
Okay, so,
No, we dropped the wages and
Yeah.
now we're not doing,
We weren't getting the years of
Experience.
experience or the wages, that just stated
so-
that. That was,
and we discussed that we can do this again next year, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then all that discussion, we should just go back to the original.
Well, then we'll be right back where we are next year, then? I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
because then we're doing exactly what the committee said was agreed upon by the committee and the teacher, or the coach involved in creating it. Give it a shot. See if it does what they anticipate it to do. Since it's difficult to add the other stuff.
I
Why
had
do
one
who?
other thing, if one more board member would have been here, he would have voted yes, I'm guessing.
For the original.
Oh,
For the
sure,
original.
I'm gonna say
he
that.
better of.
Yeah,
It's his idea, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean,
so if we
we
table
probably
until
took up
next
a lot
month,
of time
it'll
for our board
pass.
meeting tonight for something
Don't look
that
at that.
we put our
I
trust
know he's
into the
evil.
committee.
Right,
And then we were trying to throw things
There's a
out.
mouse trying to get,
We probably
look
didn't
at
need
that,
to
right
do
in the
that.
window.
make the proposal and I'll second it.
All right, I will make a motion to accept the offer or the proposal as written with the 12.5% and then all the other information that follows.
And just to clarify, cross-country is head.
As a head coach,
Negotiated
12%.
Let's see where, how many
Negotiate as
kids.
needed.
Brett, you second?
Again?
We'll get it right this time.
There you go.
Who seconded it?
Brett.
Chad, any,
I still don't like it,
Ready?
but I'll say yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
No?
Mike,
if we're gonna look at it again, I'll go yes. Let's go.
Lee,
yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know,
That's okay, I'll just stay out here by myself.
And it's, I'm not laughing.
been on the
because
water
it's
board
not
for
funny.
6
It's
years, we haven't had
easy
this
to figure
much
it out.
division in the
You got enough paper for them minutes there, Amy? Okay, that is approved.
Okay, now let's get into the
Activity
heavy-duty stuff
fees.
next.
Activity fees, the committee is recommending that we begin paying them effective now. For all the events going forward from now on,
Is
For
there like,
co-op.
do you have a
For
schedule?
co-op.
Fees.
Oh.
for co-op.
Yep, okay.
So next year, and so all the baseball, softball will get paid this spring, football will get paid next fall. Going forward, that's how it'll be.
We're paying, the school's paying the activity fees or the parents are?
School, they're recommending the school pay it.
For co-op.
For
That
the
would be
co-op, for
For the
the
co-op
baseball.
students.
fees to be in the sport.
And the reason we did that is the co-op with just football was 9,000-10,000 a year. And by paying activity fees, it's 1,300. It'd be a little bit more with baseball and stuff now, but we're still saving way more money.
Saving, but what's the cost of the new salaries for the new coaches from where?
Yeah.
Did you, everybody figure that?
The one coach that we're
No.
gonna have.
No. the salary schedule we just approved,
Oh,
how much
How much did that
increase
give?
was
You
that?
figured
We ate
it's-
all that up.
Well,
We ate a lot of that up right there.
Yeah.
yeah, because it wouldn't be, well,
A lot of them were talking $2,000 a
well, that'd be
shot.
maybe 1,000 per maybe because Schaefer would have been
Mm-hmm.
the furthest one down.
No, but a lot of the other ones you said are first year, and there would be $2,000 a pop, plus DFFRs and everything
All
else, so
that
we've
money
ate a
just
lot of
went
that up,
bye-bye.
right, boom. You know, correct? I
We're
mean,
back to zero on,
But if, on the fees for the
with
sports,
happier coaches.
if you have 10 football players that go to Valley and we pay $70, that's $700.
no,
What-
I'm not arguing, I'm
No,
I'm not
but-
saying that, but I'm just
yeah,
saying what,
but
what
like-
we saved, we probably used a lot of that up when we just raised the salary.
Right, but I don't know that she was talking about what the co-op cost us before. You know, comparing that. What was the cost to our third in the co-op?
Paid over 10,000
Yeah.
every year.
And then the fees, if
Creeping
we
up on you.
paid the football, we need to pay the baseball, we need to pay the
Softball,
softball,
gymnastics.
gymnastics. And what was brought to the committee was whether we pay back. If we're gonna pay for football, do we pay back for baseball last year, the year before? Our thoughts were that we didn't wanna miss something. If we pay back, we're gonna end up missing something that we should have paid somebody and we didn't know that, so it'd start now.
I think you need to make that decision going forward. You
Right.
can't retro back on some of those kind of, I wouldn't.
From now going forward.
So
we'll
the
pay-
Right.
proposal is to pay the fees moving forward for all co-op sports.
Yeah.
And the price tag actually is not just for football, what's the price tag for paying activities for this? I mean, I'm curious how much we're
Oh, what do
talking.
we got, 5 baseball players? Is there 4?
There was,
Was it the 4 of them, Johnson?
Colton.
Colton,
4 or 5.
Harsted
Jacob,
and,
and
Haugen.
Mason.
Yeah, 4.
So 4 and then 1 softball.
And is that, I mean, what's the activity?
$70 is the,
$350 for those 2 sports. And then if you got, we had maybe 20, so it'd be another $1,400, so $1,700.
So I guess, I guess I don't understand why if you want your child in a sport, you can't pay the activity fee. I mean, you know, we don't charge for, we don't have an activity fee for anything in school, right?
Yeah.
For basketball or volleyball or anything, these are the only ones that have an activity fee?
To go outside the school. yes.
Okay.
So we need to make a motion on this proposal from the committee?
The committee's recommendation is to pay the fees, so,
Yes.
Moving forward.
moving forward. So we would need a
I
motion.
guess, getting back, because you guys brought up the coach's salary going up, if we would have still co-opted with Cooper next year, it would have still been that amount on top of raising the coach's salary, so, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
So, because that was kind of your justification maybe for not paying the activity fees, because we just increased.
No,
them.
no. When you say we saved 10, I was just saying we really didn't save 10 because we increased this.
Yes.
That's all I was saying, yeah, no.
and I think the paying the fees, on Lori's comment, is when we pay for a co-op fee to go out, we have a lot less expense in that sport. If we had that, like the sports, like basketball or something, we have a lot of expense in that.
I agree. So what other, and I'm being the devil's advocate, but so what other things are gonna come at us wanting us to do an activities fee if we do these?
I think it was just the sanctioned sports is all that are a
And
co-op.
that's the words we're gonna use, are the sanctions?
Yeah, sanctioned by high school athletes.
Because that
Activities.
is, you realize that's where the next rub comes. is
Yeah,
what's-
but you can't, I
The
mean,
motion
somebody
has to say
from a,
sanctioned, is
Okay,
See, just,
So the question would be, we don't have a co-op with, say, golf or soccer or something like that, but what if a kid wants to play that sport?
exactly.
Well, is that a sanctioned high school activity
Yes.
association
Golf
sport?
is, yeah.
Then we would pay that.
We'd have to. we'd
But
have to
we
get a
don't-
co-op.
But we'd have to
Have
first
that.
develop a co-op for it.
Yeah.
yeah, if we develop a co-op, then we would pay that. Right? That was what we,
Yeah.
Well, and that's just my question, is because we have baseball and softball now, we have 3 kids that wanna play soccer. I say, why can't you do a co-op, because you do it for these kids?
Because you could have the same thing with wrestling or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is soccer?
then I'm
also
assuming,
sanctioned?
would we look at that if we had kids that wanted to, correct?
Why not?
But this is what we have.
Well, no, I'm just asking because I wanna make sure that we're under agreement that if someone does come up and say, I wanna wrestle. And we as a board are gonna say, well, we don't have a co-op, so we're not gonna, we can't allow you to wrestle. Or if you wanna go wrestle, go join the team and pay that activity fee yourself.
We can't unless they're under co-op. They can't leave our school without a co-op. So if we wanted to co-op with Valley City, because we used to have kids who were wrestling, and that was one of the first things I was told we got here was, you'll be approached by wrestlers wanting to get a co-op for wrestling. Well, then that family moved, so it hasn't come up again, but that would have been on the plate.
What's the cost of a co-op?
Well, in co-op, we just set up
Is
the
it just an
agreement.
agreement?
You set up the agreement, yeah. Like with our football one, it's just that we'll bring our kids down there, we get them there, and they pay for everything, basically. We're gonna hire a coach and just get them there, and then the activity fees,
And the $70 is,
the activity fee.
yep.
So say if we went with golf with them, they'd just be the, whatever kids were down there, if it's less than 5, we don't offer transportation. They have to get themselves there, and then we just pay the activity fee.
The only time we would pay a fee for the co-op if we don't do it on the timetable.
Right, do we do it during season or past that co-op deadline?
Yeah, right now, if we wanted to have the boys play golf this spring, we'd have to pay $500, and either Jamestown or Valley, whoever would have to pay the other $500 to get those kids to be able to participate this year.
Yeah. So do our students or families know that this is a possibility of it? So if someone wants to play golf, they can't do it this spring, because obviously we're not gonna, be willing to pay the $500. But we wanna enter a co-op for,
Nobody's ever inquired. I mean, Mr. Samuelson has inquired, but he's the only one, and he came last year, I believe, wasn't he? Did he come to the board just?
Year or two ago, yeah.
I'm just saying as a parent myself, if one of my kids wanna play a sport, what is it, do we know the deadlines on that,
But you'd have to discuss that with the board or bring it to the
Bring it to
school,
the-
you know?
Right, and that's,
Or the high school activities, it has all the dates and everything, so.
I just wanna make sure that, who's ever watching will understand that they have to,
Yep. Yeah, there's dates involved with, and it has to be before the end of the season.
right.
I will make a motion that we pay the activity fees for all sanctioned co-op sports? Is that how we want to word it?
North Dakota High School activity sponsored.
Okay, North Dakota High School activity sponsored sports. Moving forward.
Second, anybody have a second?
I'll second.
Lori got the second. Any other discussion? Roll call, Amy.
She's
Chad?
still writing.
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Okay.
We got that one through all in one shot. Any others?
It was the excellent wording that took place.
It is, correct verbiage.
Good.
Okay. Anything else under old business? Nothing. New business superintendent evaluation. We got the composite. I went over it with Mr. Severson Monday night. We visited a little about it. We need to look at adopting this as satisfactory or unsatisfactory, one or the other. You could do it per area or as a complete evaluation, your choices. And then there would be, if there's anything you want listed as an improvement plan, we could do that. If there's none, that would be part of your motion. But we need to adopt it as either satisfactory or unsatisfactory. And we could do it by complete, or you could say A, B, C is satisfactory, such and such is not, or however you guys want to look at it.
So I make a motion, we adopt the superintendent's evaluation as satisfactory.
All
As a
areas.
whole.
All areas.
Yep, all areas.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Not, roll call.
Chad?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
And thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Severson. So,
Appreciate that. And if you have anything, if you see anything in there that after you go through it, just stop in. We can do
Okay.
it.
I think they should have, new members should get a year off on that.
No.
We said that last year.
Because I've worked with them for like 3 months.
Well, it's even more fun when you come in and you're in for 2 months and they have to give you an evaluation.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's right.
Well, you survived the first one.
Survived the
Yeah.
After that, it's easy.
Other, we have open enrollment.
Yeah, just one open enrollment. The family was in Jamestown, moved to Wimbledon, and then moved back to Jamestown. So we need a motion to accept Tuttle family open enrollment.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, by Michelle,
I'll second.
by Rob. Roll call, Amy?
Brett?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Lori?
Yep.
Cindy?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Chad?
Okay, approved. Then we have the second reading of the early graduation policy.
There wasn't any questions on the first time, so.
Yeah. No comment from staff, or no, anybody had back? So we would need.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
By Cindy. Roll call, Amy.
Chad?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Rob?
Yes.
Brett?
Okay.
Okay. Any correspondence you have?
I don't.
Board discussion, anybody have anything?
All discussed up.
The only thing I had on there that we should think about is a little bit as we move ahead, and I want to talk to Ms. Steverson a little bit about that too, is do we want to work more on this strategic plan, and do we want to try to get some help with that? I mean, there's people out there who help us with it. Do you think that's something we want to have somebody help
Yeah, I
with
guess
it?
there is people out there that can come and we can sit down and just get us started if that's what we want to do, or.
So I'm just seeing where we want to be on something like that, or what.
That's for,
The whole district,
oh,
strategic plan.
I'd like to see us bring someone in. I think an outsider's perspective of how to move forward, I think is always beneficial. I think we sometimes look at ourselves and think we're doing, I just think it's good to have other people guide us.
Then would we want to set up
Ditto.
like a special meeting or something of that, so that it's just that on the agenda or just that to discuss? with
Well,
them to
I guess we'll get
started?
together, visit about it, see if we bring, how that process would work, if that's this intent that everybody wants to work towards. I mean, it'd be something that we're not doing right now, it'd probably work into next year,
Yeah.
or
Like
something.
even like the retreat or something.
Well, it's a little
Not
more
quite,
entailed in
little
that.
more, But
Yeah.
Yeah. But it gets staff members, it gets a bunch of entities involved.
And that might be something where to start, is to bring that person in and have them explain. the
Well, they're gonna
process,
have-
What we
yes.
need to do, how we need to get people involved, and maybe even invite the staff at
Right.
night to hear everything all at
Yeah.
once.
Okay, we can visit about if that's,
Okay.
if everybody thinks that's a way to look at it. Okay. Anybody
We'll
have
see.
anything else? If not, remember next month, it's December 12th,
La, 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 la.
so we're adjourned.
Okay, get your
Okay,
calendars.
yep, I'm ready.
Won't be much longer.
Bring it
and we'll be here
on.
For the next meeting.
So say, what are we talking about?
what about
Policy,
You
we
had
never
said
finished our
that,
sick leave.
with the teachers that are on that committee,
Right.
they'd like to meet right after school if possible.
Yep,